I believe a hand up is more beneficial than a hand out, and here's why. What's good, everybody? It's Vaughn, and you know, this is where you get that knowledge that you don't get in college. So go ahead and scroll into the description, click the link next to Webull, and collect your 12 free stocks. More often than not, people refuse to take accountability for the decisions that they made, and instead, they choose to blame the government or some other external force. Rather than taking ownership and accepting the fact that they're the solution to their own problems, they choose to play the blame game. In this video, we're going to talk about how a hand up is more valuable than a hand out. But before I share my opinion, I would like you to listen to this short clip so that you can hear what a few other entrepreneurs had to say.
Do you not think that there's certain situations where there may be a deprived family with such terrible constraints in their lives, like a mother that's suffering from illness or you know, problems with drugs in their families, that actually socialism might be a necessary political tool to actually give them the platform they need to participate in the market, in the free markets that you talk about. Because if say, imagine you didn't have time to, you know, have this vision of a business you wanted to create, what do you do at that point?
Ask a real person who lived it.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at, I'm the person that you're talking about. You're imagining it, I lived it, right? So I told you I came from absolutely nothing. My mom was one of 9 brothers and sisters, 5 of them which grew up in prison. I grew up visiting my uncles in prison. I can't even, in an abusive home, and had the entire world was against me. I defied incredible odds because I live in a free market society and a capitalist society, and I didn't turn to the government to fix it. I didn't blame the white man. I didn't blame the rich man. I didn't blame the tall man. I decided to figure out what it is that I can contribute to society, what I'm good at, and I buckled down and I worked hard. There is no substitute for hard work. And socialist is the creed, is a creed that makes you think that there is somehow. Like now, hey Candace, you didn't start in the same place that Charlie started in. He's white, he's straight, he's male. He grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, so you should be able to take from him and start your life better, and that's not true. And let me also say something. It's much more rewarding. Do you know how much better I feel today sitting up here knowing that I did it by myself and I didn't have someone out there virtue signaling for me saying, give something, take something from Charlie and give it to Candace, and I fought my way? That is what a free market, free society allows. You can come from absolutely nothing and make something of yourself. My grandfather did the exact same thing. He started his life on a sharecropping farm. You want to talk about systemic inequality? It was blacks only, whites only, had KKK shooting into his home at night, and had his first job when he was 5 years old laying out tobacco to dry. Now my grandfather lives on that sharecropping farm as the owner of it. That's what America is all about. That's what free markets and capitalism is all about, and that's why I do what I do. So I don't think that socialism helps. No, I think opportunities help, and those are the things that we want to protect.
And I think giving people a hand up rather than hand out isn't socialist, it's compassionate. And the free market's the only way where you can actually have enough resources to when people find themselves in situations, and it's maybe different, people might disagree in the UK, that actually a smaller welfare state, but it's still there to help people when they do find themselves in situations, but not that they end up having to rely on them and say that, okay, well now your mother was like this, you'll be like this, your next generation, and that's where the problem of socialism lies in. Rather than giving them that safety net for that one-off time when they find themselves there so they can build up, it then says, you rely on us, we'll give you handouts consistently, and that's where the problem that I find.
Exactly right.
It was just the other day that someone commented under one of my shorts, and I responded letting them know that the short is just a brief synopsis of what I was actually trying to say, and they should check out the full video. And in response to that, they said that they're not going to check it out because I'm an advocate of capitalism and they don't support it. And I'm completely fine with that because there's different strokes for different folks. I believe that a capitalistic society gives the individual more freedom because it puts your future in your hands. So you have the freedom to fail or prevail, but many people don't understand that you have to fail before you prevail. So if you decide to give up after you failed once, then it's no one's fault but your own. As the young lady in the clip mentioned, in a capitalistic society, you can come from absolutely nothing and create something out of yourself, as long as you leverage your resources and capitalize on the opportunities that present themselves. When it comes to capitalism, the only difference between haves and have-nots is that the people that have died once they realized that they were one of the have-nots. And you might be wondering, what do I mean? Well, in order to have anything that you want in this world, you need discipline, information, execution, and dedication. And I've come to an understanding that many of the people that are looking for a handout are lacking in one or all of these areas. When it comes to discipline, it's something that's required before you're expired. Without it, you can just forget about it. If you don't have discipline, it's going to be very difficult for you to reach the destination of your desire. And information, it's what gives you the unfair advantage because you pay for what you don't know. And what you know determines where you go. And it also indicates how much you'll grow. So be very diligent with the information that you consume. And I know that they say knowledge is power, but in actuality, applied knowledge is power. And that's where the execution comes in. And it's one of the most important components because without it, you won't be able to manifest your idea. Ideas are useless without execution. And the dedication just seals the deal. If you're dedicated and you have the discipline with the information and you're willing to execute, then there's no one that can stop you but you. And sometimes people may think that you're delusional, and that's only because you're manifesting your illusion and eliminating their confusion. A wise man once said, you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day. You can teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime. And a perfect example of this is homeless people. Wherever you are, I'm sure that you've seen a homeless person walking on the street begging for money. And in their mind, when you give them money, you solve their problem. Well, in actuality, you've done the exact opposite. Because 9 times out of 10, when you give a homeless person money, they're going to do something destructive rather than constructive. Every time you give a homeless person $1, you're supporting a bad habit. Like I said earlier, you could give a man a fish and feed him for a day. You could teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime. Think about how many times you've seen a homeless person on a specific corner, then a year or 2 later, you revisit that corner and you've seen the same homeless person in the exact same situation. They were still begging for $1. That simply tells you that giving them money doesn't solve their problem. The problem is here within their mindset. And the sad thing about it is that a lot of those homeless people that you see are very talented, and a lot of them have skill sets that the world may never see because they lack the information that is required to understand who they are and what they're worth. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't give homeless people money. It's your money. You can do whatever you want. What I'm trying to explain to you is that capitalism promotes productivity. In a capitalistic society, you're paid in direct proportion to the problem that you solve. So if you want more money, all you have to do is solve a bigger problem. And from my experience, people don't value the things that they don't work for. So if they didn't work for it, they'll be more willing to just give it away frivolously. A lot of people look at America as a capitalistic society, when in actuality, it's a capitalistic society with a bit of socialism sprinkled in. If you look at the people at the bottom, there's a lot of people on welfare or with food stamps, and they're getting government assistance. But a place like Jamaica is more of a capitalistic society because most people get very little government assistance, if any. With that said, if you want to get ahead, get your priorities in order and go ahead and get that bread. Because if you want to have anything that you desire, the old you has to be dead. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so that you're notified every time that I make a new post. Until next time.